Hello and welcome to
Movie Review TV. Movie Review TV. We see films as they are, rate them out of 5 stars. Movie Review TV. Movie Review TV.
Hello and welcome. I'm Aldwyn, Altuney.
And I'm Michael Thompson.
And today we are going to be reviewing The Man Who Invented Christmas. What is this film about, Michael?
I'll tell you what it's all about, Aldwyn.
Thank you,
Just
Michael.
be patient. And you'll find out. In 1843 London, author Charles Dickens, played by Dan Stevens, finds himself in financial trouble after writing 3 unsuccessful novels in a row. Desperate for a hit, Dickens relies on real-life inspiration and his vivid imagination to bring Ebenezer Scrooge, Tiny Tim, and other classic characters to life in A Christmas Carol, forever changing the holiday season into a celebration known today. Based on The Man Who Invented Christmas by Les Standiford, it brought in $4.3 million at the box office. So you tell us what it's all about, Aldwyn.
Yes.
Well, I told you what it's all about. Let me tell you your opinion about it.
Yes, what did I think of the movie? Well, actually, I think it started a little bit slow for my liking. I kind of took a little while to warm to this movie. But by the end of it, I actually found I really enjoyed it. And I didn't just enjoy it because it came to the end. I enjoyed it because there were some great characters developed in this film. And I guess relating to the whole story of, a writer who has had 3 unsuccessful novels, and how does he turn his next one into a successful novel. And I really liked the way that all played out when author Charles Dickens, played by Dan Stevens in this film, how he actually went about to write the book and how he visualized the characters. Now he came up with the name for the characters first, and he developed it all around that. So it was almost like 2 stories happening in one with this film. And I really loved the overall message of the whole film, which was about being more kind to others, and I think that's a very important message. And it was a very overall, even though there was some quite horror kind of scenes in there, there were a few sort of a bit dark scenes.
Would you say it's horror?
Well, no, I wouldn't say horror exactly, but just some dark
more like
scenes.
gritty realism, maybe. I guess
there's some dark scenes in there, and that could scare some of the little kiddies. However, the overall story I thought was really good, and I really like the message of this film. So that's what I thought of it. What did you think of it, Michael?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually know that Oliver Twist was the first novel that Charles Dickens wrote. Actually, I know, the names of a lot of Charles Dickens books. Oliver Twist, obviously, Martin Chuzzlewit, and David Copperfield, Great Expectations, etc., and A Christmas Carol, of course. And I didn't know he wrote Oliver Twist first, because that's about his most famous novel. I think Charles Dickens's, in Charles Dickens' literary career. Most people, when they think of Charles Dickens, think of Oliver Twist for the most part, and his next 3 novels after that were flops, as it says in the film, because they didn't sell that well at all. And the movie actually starts with him in America. It does, doing research basically for his book and promoting his other books. Because the book that he wrote before A Christmas Carol was American Notes, which is obviously better. So I don't know what that did in America, but but that wasn't never sold that well. So it was desperate for a hit, wasn't he, Aldwyn? So he had to pull out all the stakes.
He did,
basically. So he ended up, as you can see in the films, self-publishing it, so he could get it done in a very short space of time too, because there was only I think 8 weeks left till Christmas. So he had to do everything.
Was it
6 weeks? 6 weeks or 8 weeks? So yeah, he had a very short amount of time to write it and to have it printed and illustrated.
Yes,
So,
yes. And there were challenges there with the illustrator, with the publisher, with getting the whole story together. And I loved how he sought feedback from someone who was an avid reader. And I think that's really important in business and when you're doing anything out there, to actually get feedback from people and see what they think about it as you go, so that you know that you're delivering something that people are going to want. And in saying that, there's going to be some people that aren't as well. So I guess it's being discerning about the advice that you take with any sort of creative type of work. And I must say, I just really love the way that Charles totally went into another zone when he was writing the book. He actually just went to a whole other world, and he brought this whole other world of his imagination to life. And it made you feel like you were in the story. And I thought that was depicted really well in this film.
Yes, he did. And the characters in A Christmas Carol were based on real characters that he met in real life.
Yes.
Especially Scrooge, which is the main crux of the story, isn't it, really?
Yes, yes.
He's the main character in A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
So
and Tiny Tim was an interesting.
And Tiny Tim
was an interesting character. So it was all, a little bit about the underdog and, supporting the underdog despite, nastiness that might happen as well in the world. So overall, I thought it was a great movie. I'd give it 3.5 out of 5. Michael, what would you give it?
We rarely disagree, Aldwyn. So, and we're not disagreeing on this one either.
Right.
We're pretty much on the same level we are, because I'm giving it 4.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Because I was sort of, tossing up between 3.5 and 4 stars in my mind, but I can give it 4 because I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I like English movies and English period movies.
Yes.
Because obviously this was set in probably the mid-19th century.
1843 London.
1843 London. So
Yes.
So the early part of the 19th century, really. And,
yes, the costumes and the theming was really good. Actually, I thought it was very
really good.
lifelike, very accurate. And it was nice to just lose yourself in a movie and just go off to 1843 London and experience.
And gives you a bit of a snippet of the raw realism of what was going on, in terms of working in the factories and situations like that, which are pretty harsh. Because young boys, used to work in factories, for, I don't know how many hours a day. It was 16 hours a day or something like that. So it was pretty hard on everyone living in England, in the 19th century. So
yeah, absolutely. We are so lucky nowadays, really, compared to how things were back then. So it really is. It's a lovely, warm, sort of a fuzzy feeling type Christmas movie with some.
It is. It overcomes obstacles and
yes.
And it comes up with a good ending that uplifts you. So
yes, it is an uplifting ending.
A positive ending, which is what you want.
That's right. We like uplifting, positive news, and this is a inspiring story in the end. And to be an inspiring story, you have to experience some low points as well. It's like the roller coaster of life. There's going to be low points, like Charles Dickens had with 3 unsuccessful novels, and he stuck with it. And he
had a harsh childhood, as that points out in the movie.
There was that too. And despite
he managed to overcome that.
Despite that, he still did really well. So
and he had to do everything himself. He did to publish A Christmas Carol, so he couldn't rely on anyone else.
Yes.
And it was being ribbed, wasn't he, basically by another novelist, Thackeray.
Yeah,
because Thackeray was another popular, author around that time, and he was, often going up to Charles Dickens, bragging about how many sales of his books were being bought. So he was he's sort of inspiring Dickens at the same time. He wasn't necessarily putting him down, I don't think, was the Aldwyn. It was sort of
no, well, there was a critic that was very negative about some of his books. And see, back then, when mainstream media was pretty much the only media back then, whatever mainstream media said was like.
All came from the papers.
It was like the gospel. So if there's a negative review about your book, it was really going to slam you hard and was going to affect your sales with your book. So there were some negative reviews with some of his books, and that made a big difference too.
A little bit of competition with fellow authors, as I said, as well, like Thackeray, because he met up with Thackeray, some parties, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think a little bit of healthy competition is good, and everyone has their own style as well at the end of the day. So, you know, people do get a bit funny sometimes about, as such. You know, I think everyone has their own style, and people are going to warm to you because they like your style or they don't. So that's
Well,
it.
I think everyone, most people, just about everyone knows about Charles Dickens. And I don't think they know too much about Thackeray, who was another author who was writing around that time. So,
yeah.
So I think
so
Charles Dickens did better than Thackeray in the end.
He did.
Everyone knows about Charles Dickens and Oliver Twist and A Christmas Carol, Great Expectations, etc. So
yes,
I know a lot more about Charles Dickens.
Yes.
Than any of the novels that Thackeray wrote. So
that's right. So well done, Charles Dickens.
Well done, Charles
Dickens. Great
He made it in the end.
Cheers, and cheers to the makers of The Man Who Invented Christmas. Cheers, Michael. Excellent job on this movie review TV episode, I must say. Very good. And thank you for watching. Any final comments you want to say about the film, Michael, before we wrap up?
Go see it. That's all I've got to say. So it's a worthwhile Christmas adventure.
Yes, and it does help you get,
because it is an adventure in itself.
Yes,
you know, the actual process of writing A Christmas Carol that Charles Dickens went through. So you'll be able to see that for yourself.
Yeah,
and enjoy it, because I enjoyed it. You were quite enthralled in it, were you, Aldwyn?
Yes,
I was.
I did enjoy it. It was a little bit slower initially, but it picked up for me, and I did enjoy it more by the end of the film. So
I did quite like the scenes at the beginning, where he was sort of, being, when he was on stage, if you remember, and it was copying a lot of, what would you say? It was copying on stage a lot of admiration. Admiration when he was on stage and his American tour.
Yeah, that's true. There were some good scenes in there, and then I just found there was a bit in there that I got a bit bored and I think dropped off a little bit. And then
it's good to have a background story to the to the whole writing of A Christmas Carol. So sort of led you into the film. But I really enjoyed it. So go see it. And it's still the Christmas season. It's not even New Year's Eve. Christmas just passed a couple of days ago, but everyone's still in the mood.
Well, depending where you are in the world, it may be Christmas right now for you. So it is a festive season, and it is time to think about creative projects and to think about, what you're here on the planet to do as well, and how you treat others.
And Aldwyn's in the Christmas mood because she's got a red
That's right. I have
Santa
the
dress on.
Outfit on. I don't have the Santa hat, but I do have I've got the red and white on, so I'm dressed for the occasion.
She has too, so there you go.
Yes. And look, it's been great to be with you today. Thank you for joining us, whoever's watching this. Hello. Thanks for supporting us. If you like what you see, or you have any questions or feedback, what did you think of the film? If you have seen it, we'd love to see your comments underneath this video, wherever you're watching this. Is on
Maybe
YouTube.
You disagree with us.
Or if you disagree, we'd
love to
hear from you. What do you rate it out of 5? We would love to hear from you on that. And if you like what you see,
we haven't had a look at any reviews, so we're completely unbiased. So
that's right. We are unbiased. So
we're just calling it as we see it.
Share the love if you like what you've seen, and we'll be back soon with more movie review TV episodes. If you have a special request of anything that you would like us to review, then let us know. Just comment underneath one of our videos in the Aldwyn Altuney channel, Movie Review TV. Just comment anywhere, and we would love to consider your opinions on that and what you'd like to see us review.
Comment away.
Comment away.
And even go back and read Charles Dickens,
if
you wish, as that.
Yes, lose yourself in Charles Dickens.
And Ebenezer Scrooge and Tiny Tim.
Yes.
And all those interesting characters.
Yes, and be kind to each other and to yourself this festive season. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. See you later.
See ya.